Besides rising rent and struggling retailers, Hong Kong is also dealing with the impact of a global economic downturn. My colleague Mike Walter spoke to the city's Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury to discuss his government's economic policies. He asked him about China's bid to internationalize the renminbi.
China has been exploring ways, to encourage the use of renminbi for trade settlement overseas. And I think a lot of countries, Australia included, UK, and many countries have been signing up, with agreements of China about establishing a swap facilities or some kind of link so that they can trade the currency. Now, the way we see it is that this is wonderful. More and more countries are getting onto this interesting new currency platform. Where Hong Kong is doing is that Hong Kong actually has been providing an offshore center for renminbi services.
What about asset management offshore? That's also an interest of yours.
I think in the renminbi internationalization, this process it started about 2 or 3 years ago. It's a very gradual approach of encouraging the use of renminbi. So what China has been doing is to encourage companies, countries, to explore, the use of renminbi. Now, why do I want to use the word explore? Because currently RMB is not freely convertible. It's not a freely traded currency in many places. So Hong Kong actually stepping in as an offshore center. Anyone can buy renminbi with complete freedom in Hong Kong. Can trade renminbi in Hong Kong. You cannot do that so easily onshore in China, but you can do it in Hong Kong. Now, what we've been doing in Hong Kong is to provide that kind of renminbi trading investment services. Now, that's number one. And when I talk about the asset management, that's come to your question. How do we encourage more people to be interested in renminbi? Besides companies who are interested in using renminbi for settling their trade in China, we want to encourage people to use renminbi as an investment currency. So if you can take the renminbi that you accumulate overseas and use that renminbi to invest back into China to buy the A share in Shanghai or for direct investment in China, that would actually encourage people holding and interest having the renminbi overseas.
You're here in the United States, you're a global player, you obviously have to have a great deal of interest in what's going on globally. Last night I was speaking to the ambassador to the United States from Greece. They've got almost 60% unemployment among their youth. It's a staggering unemployment rate. You're seeing what's rippling through the Eurozone, you're seeing what's happening here in the United States. Hong Kong's still doing very well, but are there cautionary tales or lessons out there? I mean, how do you look at things when you see this?
Many Western countries have forgotten one thing, which is that government can spend, can borrow, but eventually someone has to pay for those borrowing. This current generation may need to pay for it, or the future generation may need to pay for it. So many countries actually we see that because of the politics, because of the social demands, they have been increasing the government spending, and the debt level is not sustainable. For Eastern countries, for Asian economies, I think we learned a lesson from the 1997 Asian financial crisis. We want to be very prudent in fiscal management.
The Hong Kong housing bubble, can you talk a little bit about that?
The Hong Kong housing bubble is clearly, now I don't want to use the word bubble because bubble is a controversial term. I was often reminded by people that you will not know whether it's a bubble until it's burst. Right. But as far as we are concerned, we have been very worried about the escalation of housing prices in Hong Kong over the last 2 and 3 years. Let me tell you one number. Since the global financial crisis in 2008, the Hong Kong housing market doubled in price. The price level has doubled. Now, 100% increase in prices over 3 years, or roughly 3 years. I think that's a little bit worrisome.